All right, well, let's go ahead and get started just because I know we have more people coming on, but I want to value everybody's time here. So today we're really talking about how do you adapt to a slowing market. If you have not felt the pinch yet, you will. We were actually feeling, and I'll give you a quick example of that. I track our volume here locally, my local group here, on volume on a weekly basis, so I can see trends and what's going on in our business. Because remember, I'm in 20, you know, 49 states and 8 countries. So I track my volume locally because that actually gives me a window into the rest of the country, right? Although we were actually a little bit insulated here because of the Space Center and stuff going on here. But what's going on now is we went from averaging on a rolling average about $65 million on a rolling average of that's active, pending, and closed to around 47, 48 million. Big change. There's a big difference because we've been consistent on that 65 really to 75 for the last 3 years, maybe four. So when you're looking at your business and I did this class the other day for a bunch of my agents, and I'm going to talk about my stuff after everybody else does, but it's really about going back to basics. And I think when you're really, I was with my grandson today, driving him to school. He's a baseball player, and he's like lost his power in his swing, and he was a home run hitter. And I said, "What do you think's going on?" He goes, "Well, I'm trying to tweak it." I go, "That's the mistake." So when I've talked to anybody about sales for the last many years, I've said to people, when everything's bad, go back to basics. So I said, Henry, his name's Henry. I said, "What did you do, right, when you were hitting the ball out of the park?" He goes, "I was loading better. I was doing this better." I go, "Right now, I watched you yesterday hit a ball and you swung your arms." I go, "With no power. You got to go back to basics." So let's go ahead and start off with Cam since he was the first person on, and I like to reward punctuality. Cam, go ahead now. So what are you telling people? What are you doing to adapt in this market where it's slowing? There's no question. My revenue is 30% off right now. I'm sure we're all feeling that.
Yeah, absolutely. And or I kind of saw that going back into 2023 is just like you, Mitch, like you were just saying. Well, first off, good morning, everyone. I know obviously all the West Coast people, good morning. For everyone over here, good afternoon. But this is a big topic. We've been dealing with it for quite a while now here in Southwest Florida. Obviously, we were the biggest, highest inflated market in the entire country during the COVID boom, which was awesome. What a great market to be in as a realtor. But with that comes the deflation, and we had it very quickly, and we had it. We're still going through it. With that said, though, because I have been doing the very similar thing as what Mitch was just saying there is every week I actually post on social media our weekly numbers, and it's straight from the MLS. It's very basic, but it gives a kind of an ongoing story of what the market looks like, and it's totally public. But what's fun about it is that because I post it on Facebook, every once in a while it pops up that, hey, you remember that past story that you did last year or 2 years ago? So I can constantly go back now every single week and see what the market looked like 2 years ago or 3 years ago. What we're seeing today, obviously, is we have a huge influx of inventory. Our absorption rate, it's over 12 months now, which is crazy. Rentals are just all sitting empty. People are just not down here doing what they were doing before. Now, with the last two hurricanes, that's obviously compounding things even more. But to go back to the topic of slowing down market, what should you agents do, or what should agents be doing? I'll tell you what we've done that has been very successful, and it is going back to the basics. But the first thing you have to do is you have to audit what you're spending, because as times are good, we start spending more and more because it allows us to keep growing and keep scaling. Well, the challenge is that when the market changes, we can't fight the market. You can't become, you can't change the market, but you can change where you are spending and how much you are spending. So the very first thing that I think all agents need to do right now, if they haven't already, is to get back into their business, look at the numbers, see what they are spending, where they are spending, and the results that you're getting from this. Okay. When you do that, yes, it takes a few days to actually go through all this. It's very cumbersome and it's not fun to do, but you're going to see that you're spending thousands and thousands of dollars on potential leads or potential systems that might have worked here 16 months ago or 18 months ago, we had systems that were, 18 to 1, 25 to 1. They were just like money printers that do not work today at all. You won't get a lead or a buyer or a seller from them. So you need to go back, you need to audit what you're doing. And then once you have that overview or kind of that picture of your business now, you can make adjustments to start over, like Mitch was just saying, from the basics, things that always work, which are going to be, our farming campaigns, our door knocker campaigns, direct calling and conversations with, circle prospecting. And then obviously the number one is always going to be sphere of influence, past clients, the people that know, love, and trust you. You have to be communicating with them. You need to be talking with them. Do this pop buys, drop by with the gifts. That kind of stuff is going to be able to give your business a floor that you can't go under, because every year you're going to have that guaranteed past client, that revenue. That is what makes most agents survive these challenging times. Not all the time people are selling 65 homes a year as a solo agent. That's great during those days. But when it gets tough, you need to do 15 a year. You need to be consistent doing 20 a year. And you can do that with those foundations. So, I actually, to be honest with you, Mitch, I didn't know today was slowing market. I thought we were doing a different topic. So I got a couple notes written down for something else. But for the slowing market, what we've seen down here, you can be aggressive. But remember, even in a declining price market, like what we're here in Southwest Florida, prices are down, 2.4 million homes are selling at 1.7 right now. So prices are down quite a bit. That means that you need to be targeting people that are going to be taking advantage of those buyers. You have to always have the angle for whatever the market is, because all markets are great as an agent. It just depends on what side of the aisle that you get to work. And that all is determined by where you're spending your money, where you're getting your leads, or where you're getting your funnel from. So those are my biggest things for a slowing market. Really, dive into your business, look at where you're spending money. Once you get that audited, then come back and talk with one of our senior partners or one of us. We'd love to help you. And we can kind of give you guidelines on what we're doing, and that's what we're here for. So those are my biggest tips right now for the slowing market.
Yeah, it's great. It's always, and Pete, I'm going to let you take over just because I save my voice for when I get to speak. But yeah, it's all about going back to basics, and what made you successful when you first started, or and I don't know how many of you guys went through the last crash besides me. Right. So great. So this is great for all you guys that are on here, guys and ladies. I'll be politically correct. I don't think you say guys and girls anymore, boys and girls. All you young pups, is we've all been through that. And look at us. We're all still here. We all survived. And we all survived because of what we're teaching you today. So go ahead, Pete, take over and you can host, and I'm going to sit here and just smile.
I like when Mitch smiles. It brightens my day. He's like the sunshine or the cream in my coffee. I think, we all know we're in a changing market. We all know we're in a challenging market, but it still comes down to you guys. It comes down to your mindset each and every day. Are you prepared every day? Are you in the right mindset? Because there's only two things you can decide each day. Either you're going to do it or you're not going to do it. That's it. There's no in between. So how are you winning the day? What's your intent for winning the day today? Don't worry about yesterday. Don't worry about tomorrow. How are you going to do money-making activities today to provide for your family, to provide for yourself? What is your mindset? So with that being said, let's go over to Brian Yarber. He's back from the river, you guys. He caught a bunch of trout, and now he's ready to go. Brian, expand your ideas on this so we can save Mitch's voice and we can give some good tips on how do you succeed in these types of markets.
All right, thank you. I'm actually in Montana right now, and I was on the river, so you're right. Well, I can tell you that going through, this would be my third market. I started in 1985. Early 90s, we had a very difficult market in Southern California, and I bought into the mindset that the market was bad. But there were agents around me that were killing it during those markets, and I didn't understand it because I hadn't gone through one before. But now that I've gone through the early 90s, and then again in the early 2000s, and then in the market that everybody refers to as, what happened on the crash on Wall Street with all the short sales, those were my best years. And really what happened was I learned that the market is never ready. You got to be ready for the market that you're going to step into. And if you've never been in a good market or a bad market, you wouldn't know the difference. So getting back to basics, like Mitch was saying, is the first mindset you need to do is like, what would I do if I just got in today knowing what I know? So if you're brand new, you don't really know any different. So just go after it. If you've been through this before, Pete, I think to win the day and win the week, I look back and I say to myself, well, what was it about this industry that really got me excited to be in? And today it's a little different. I'm 23 when I started. I'm 62 today. It still takes one buyer and it still takes one seller to make a transaction. And so, if you focus on the basics today for me would be, number one, staying in touch with my past clients, my current sphere, and really looking at how I could pull back in and not spend a difficult amount of time trying to figure it out when I know really this is a trust business and it's just an interaction. And so I get back to the basics, meaning I'm gonna do a lot more of what I love to do about real estate. What I love most about this business is being out in the marketplace. If I don't have a deal going, I'll just go out and preview. I'll spend time just going and getting to know and re-engaging with a marketplace that I have dominated over the years and start looking at what is going on, know my numbers, and practice what I really know is most important today would be to just engage in conversations that have an outcome attached to them that is going to help facilitate the real estate market in general. So, if I were to say, hey, Dave, it's been a while since we've chatted, and I don't know what's gone on in your life in a while, but I'd love to catch up with you. I'm just going to stop by. I'm going to be in the area. I'm out previewing property right now. I love to preview homes. I'm looking for a couple of really good deals. I've got a couple investors that are always looking. So, but I'd love to stop by and say hi. You're going to be home. I'm going to do a pop by. That's a Brian Buffini type of a pop by conversation. But if I'm in my office, here's what my broker told me. And now we're in a virtual office. None of us have a physical office much of the old school way. And I was always told from my broker, nobody in this building is going to buy a house from you, Brian. They're all realtors. So get out of here, right? She told me to get out of there and go get out in the marketplace. And so for me, the basics is being, like Pete was saying, just what would I do different? I'd be out in the marketplace. I might even steal an idea from Mitch and put, hey, you have a real estate question, ask me on the back of my laptop and sit up and have a cup of coffee in Starbucks and just have the back of my computer invite people over to talk to me. I don't know. I don't know what you like to do, but for me, I'm previewing. I'm previewing. I love to preview properties because it forces me to get out, engage in conversations, but it also excites me because I usually find a deal that I wasn't looking for. And I run across a neighborhood where I maybe saw a deal or I've seen a new listing and I need to call. Maybe it's, I'm in Carlsbad and Matt Battiata. Hi, Matt.
Hey, guys.
Matt's got a new listing and it looks vacant. It actually looks like it may be a fixer. Maybe it's a good property for an investor. I might call Matt and say, hey, can I pop in and see your new listing? Does it take an appointment or can I run by and see it? I'll engage. I like to call agents who have out of area phone numbers too, because it typically tells me that they've got a listing in an area where they're not normally in. So if it's a LA County number or somebody else, I'll engage. I might call Ross. I know Ross is out in the desert. And I just might say, hey, Ross, you got any really great deals I can go preview in San Diego right now? I've got a couple of hot investors. Investors are always looking. I think if you don't have any business, then just go look for an investment property for an investor and you will find some that will engage in some conversations. It may not lead to deals with that investor, but you'll find that you'll just all of a sudden be engaged in what you like about this business and being in the basics and what the market would be saying is difficult. It's not difficult. Because you will find asset managers who have business for you. You might run across investors who do have hidden inventory and they want you to list it. There, some great things out in the marketplace are there if you go looking for them. But if you sit back and try to maybe just do what you've always done in a great market, then you might be sitting for a while. So go out and engage in the marketplace. That's really what I would be teaching anybody in my sphere that would just like Brian, it's slow. I've never been through a market like this. I'm like, great. Well, this is the best market to learn in. Get out there, go after it, go find a deal. They're out there, and don't take ownership of the bad market, because there's going to be people losing houses or in foreclosures, and don't buy into the lie. Just buy into they need a realtor. If they need a realtor, you might as be the realtor that they choose. And don't have a negative mindset going into this. Be a problem solver and help them through, because I've helped too many people through short sales when I sold them the same house at the peak of the market, and they call me back, and I'm selling the same house that I sold 1.5 for 800,000, and I double ended it, by the way, on because the banks let me do that, and that was a market that was hard for me to make a big profit in as the realtor when I saw my clients losing their homes. But if that happens again, I know how to navigate that market. That's really what I'm getting at here. And so I hope you got something out of that, because I think what I was really trying to do is get you to focus why you got into this business in the first place. And if you were to get in today, what would you different that you didn't do the first time you got in this business, and go after it. And don't own the mindset of that the market is hard. It is not hard. It's just, you just need to have more business during a market like this. And that's it.
That's great stuff. What I've always said to people, you guys, it's all in your perspective and how you look at things, because there's a difference between perspective and perception. I personally was, grateful that I was able to start real estate in 1992 during a really tough economic time. So I learned the hard knocks from the beginning, but I also made it through the dot-com bust. I made it through 9/11. I made it through the financial crisis. I made it through the epidemic. So this type of market right now, I'm not trying to say it's not easy, but you have to be realistic about it. And there's always opportunity in every market. You just have to know where to look, and you have to be in the mindset to attract it and to manifest it. And if you do that each and every day, you're going to win. And if you string enough wins together, guess what? You win the week. And if you string enough weeks together, you win the month. If you string enough months together, you win the quarter. If you string enough quarters together, you win the year. So I think it's just breaking it down to the simplest terms, not getting overwhelmed, and staying very consistent with your message. And the message has to be motion creates emotion. So you got to move around. You have to see things. You have to be in character. Look I'm going on a listing in 45 minutes for a $3.5 million house. I'm in a suit. I'm in character, you guys. Do I want to be in a suit? No, I want to look like Brian Yarber and be in Montana. I love it. And I'm not knocking Brian, but that's the key, you guys. It's all in how you get into character each and every day. And what are the 3 key things you're trying to accomplish that day to win the day? All right, I want to go over to Mitch. I know Mitch has limited capacity with his voice. He is going through puberty again. I just wanted to let you guys know that. So Mitch, give us some tips, will you?
All right. It's kind of funny. My internet must be weird. Can you guys hear me okay? My video on me looks like I'm in slow motion. Anyways, so as I said earlier, it's about back to basics, but I want to give you a quick story. And by the way, some of you guys on the panel might totally 100% disagree with what I'm going to say. And I'm okay with that, because I don't like to go with the grain. And as you can see in my golf game. So when the market crashed in Florida here, where we were actually the first area of the country to go down in Brevard County, Florida. We were the fastest growing county in the country, and we were the first one. So where everybody else was having a crash in 2008, we actually started our crash in 2006. I started my brokerage in 2005, March of 05, and we're killing it. And so by January of 2006, we had 100 listings with only, I think we had like 12 agents at the time. 100 listings, and yet none of them had sold for 4 or 5 months. Right, kind of what we're going through right now, right? And so being a business guy with real estate being my product now the last 23 years, but being an entrepreneur and business guy, I kind of look at things a little bit differently than people who've been doing this for most of their life. Because I had I've been through different markets and different things in different businesses. So I said to myself, and by the way, when the market gets bad and agents and the consumer calls the agents to yell at them because the house isn't selling, what do the agents do? They stop picking up the phone. And then who do they call? They call the broker, right? And so I was literally getting yelled at 10 times a day. So I called all my agents in for an emergency meeting. I said, from now on, from this day forward, we are no longer going to do listings unless they're priced 5% below market. Because the last thing you want your consumer doing is chasing the market down. Now, we don't know where the market's going right now, but I can tell you it feels weird. And I'm sure you're all feeling that right now. It feels different. And it kind of feels like it did in 2006 to me. Now, I'm hoping that doesn't happen, but that's how it feels. So the first thing I did is we really went hardcore onto buyers. Because right now, buyers are gold, right? If listings are not selling, what's the most important person? The buyer. So we doubled down on buyers. I doubled my marketing budget from $5,000 to $10,000 a month for internet leads at the time. That's how we were generating most of our buyers. We built our database in less than 24 months from 18,000 to 50,000 in our database. Okay? And here's the cool thing that happened. Well, by the way, everybody out there laughed at me. Like all the other brokers who I'm friends with said, oh, you're going to go out of business quick. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. List to exist, right? I go, I don't know. If I had a piece of bread, a loaf of bread on the shelf and it's been there for 6 months, I ain't eating that piece of bread, right? So anyways, we grew 20% a year while everybody else went out of business. And that was because we made a huge ballsy shift against the norm of real estate to really concentrate on buyers. But right now, buyers are gold. So how do you do that? So most people, and you guys have heard me, why do people use you as a realtor? There's only one reason. You've heard me say this 1,000 times, because you're in front of them when they're thinking about buying or selling. That's the only real reason. Yes, some people, like some of the guys on this panel, have built an amazing reputation over the years, but every year they all lose sales if they're not in front of their people on a regular basis, right? And I'll give you a quickie on that. When I stopped selling in October of 21, I was getting between 40 to 80 calls a year to sell houses. The year after, the following year, 2022, I got 6 phone calls. Right? This year, because I don't stay in touch with my database. I have nothing to do with selling houses anymore because I'm so busy with my other stuff. This year, I've gotten 3 phone calls. Right? So I went from 40 to 80 because I was in touch with people every other week with my marketing, to not doing that, and went from 40 to 80 down to 3 this year. So how do you do that? You all have, you've heard me say this before, you have more business sitting in your phone than you'll ever need the rest of your life. This is the time, and we're at the end of the year, right? This is the time to build your database to be gigantic. And I think the last time we did this, some people had 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 contacts in their phones. You need to export those out. You need to get those people out there on a twice a month email and go back to that. You also have to pump up your lead conversion. Right? What are you doing with your database? How are you talking to them? What are you doing to get them to interact? Are you asking for referrals in your database? Every email, I'm going to say this as slowly as I can for a Boston guy. Every email should end with, as you know, as a realtor, I work by referral only, and I can really, really use your help. If you know someone looking to buy or sell a home, could you send me their contact info? 2 things happen in that blurb. One, I'm saying really, really, which psychologically is gigantic. I don't really need their help. I really, really need their help, right? And the other part of that is I'm asking for their contact info. So let's say you have 1,000 contacts. You understand that actually equals 250,000 opportunities, because everybody has a minimum of 250 contacts. So when you're asking 1,000 people for help, you have access now to 250,000 people. So that's really important. I'm going to give you 2 more tips on listings, and then I'll turn it back over. And I can talk about this for 6 hours. I just did it for two the other day. Pricing property. And again, people on this group might disagree with me, but I'm going to use a $1 million price point in a deal that I just went through not too long ago. Went to a listing appointment. I always ask, have you talked to another agent? He said, yes. I talked to so-and-so, who's a phenomenal agent. I said, oh, I love her. What did she say to list it at? It was $1 million property. She said $999, $999. I said, let me explain to you what the differences between a marketing person who's a realtor and just a realtor. For $1, she gave up 50% of your marketing. Like, what do you mean? I said, people in your price range search from 500,000 to a million and a million to 1.5. At $999.99, you're the highest price in that search. So you're looking for a house. Do you want to pay the most amount of money you can afford or the least? Everybody 100% says they don't want to spend the most. No one's going to say, yeah, I want to spend it all. So at $999, you're the last person they're going to look at because you're the highest priced property in the search. At $1 million, at 1 to 1.5, you're the lowest price now. You're the first person you're going to look at. He literally said, where do I sign? So pricing is very important if you're trying to sell your listings. If you're pricing it, I'll use 400 grand. At $399.9, anybody searching between 4 and 5 is not seeing your property. Right? You just gave up 50% of your market. Huge, huge thing. And if you go to your MLS right now and look, you're going to see everybody that does. They think we're selling like $9.99 products. You got to do that by search. The other thing, and again, people disagree with me on this, but it works. We learned all this stuff during the crashes for the listings that we did have. Is we lower every listing $100 in the MLS every Thursday at 5:00. And why do we do that? Because it renews the internet push every Friday morning when they're going to do their search for where they want to look that weekend. So our homes were refreshed every Friday morning all over the internet because we lowered the prices $100 every Thursday. And $100, the buyer, the seller doesn't care. You do an amendment to the listing agreement saying we're going to lower the price $100 every week until it sells. And trust me, it works. Now, if your house is ridiculously overpriced, which a lot are, it's still not going to sell. But anyways, that's it. But go back to basics. Look at your database. Price the properties correctly. I had a girl in here yesterday on the phone with me. One of my agents, he has a property for $190. I told her to raise the price to $200. Right, and the price, the value is $190. I said you're pricing it wrong. Price it at $200. You're going to get more viewings because now you're the least expensive product in that $200,000 to $300,000 search. So there you go. I'm going to go rest my voice. Have a nice day. Thanks for shopping Kmart. Pete, you're on mute.
Sorry, I said, let's go over to Dave Luxury Lawson. He's fresh out of a team meeting. He just got off his mountain bike and he's ready to go. Dave, take it away. Share with everybody, what are you doing right now in this market to win the day?
Well, there's no mountain biking going on right now because we have a storm that's going to bring a foot to 18 inches today. So mountain biking is off. But anyway, I want everyone to, I love what Mitch said. He's like, kind of think about what everybody else is doing and do the opposite. So I wrote, getting prepared for this was very easy for me because back in 2009 and 10, I wrote and I traveled around the country and I was doing a training program called Increasing Your Market Share in a Declining Market. So what happens in any declining market, it's basically the same. But I want you to think that this is our time to shine. Our competition is beginning to give up. And all of us that work hard, work smart, efficient, we are working with the times, we are going to come out on the other side with most of the business. And if all of us understand that this is a tremendous opportunity for us to grow our business, the mindset, it will make a huge difference. And the thing is, most of the agents out there, they're not seeing it this way. When the market starts to slow down, they freak out. And frankly, they stop doing their job. And why there's so much widespread negativity among the agents. And essentially, they're unwilling or unable to rise to the market or the technology or the new NAR things and so on. So I wrote down just a couple things that I want you to think about. So first of all, don't say and don't think, well, this is how I've always done it, because our market is changing. And frankly, it's never going to go back. So we have to move with it, right? Another thing is, as I say, what did Brian say? We need to expand the areas that we work in, because there's a lot more business if we have if we have a little area, we have a little opportunity. If we have a bigger one, we have more. So I suggest looking that in your business, but don't do it randomly. Do the research so you can know. So do it in the areas that you know, that you really feel like you can become a neighborhood or a market expert. The other thing is, and I don't know what Mitch is going to say about this one, but I wrote down we need to double or triple the number of listings that we have. And why is that? Now, our market is not really going down. Our market is more flat. But the thing is when we take a listing, our goal is to sell the listing, right? Or maybe not right away, right? We want to sell the listing, but think about it. The longer a listing's on the market, the more buyer leads that we're going to get. And so therefore, we need to work on our lead generation to get many more listings. We currently, right now, we have 31 listings, and we're getting buyer calls all the time off of them. The other thing is the expired listings and the for sale by owners need you more than they have in many, many years. So don't forget about those. And the other thing is the people that are out there, they need experienced agents more than ever. In COVID, if you had a heartbeat and a real estate license, you could list a property for 10% over and it would sell and you're the hero, right? But that's not happening anymore. People are not going to list or buy with just anyone. They want to be working with great agents. The other thing is because we need to work on our lead generation and my plan, right? We need to delegate more work. So if you have an assistant or a VA or something, in order for us, and especially for me to do my job well and to do the 5 or 4 income producing activities, right? Prospecting, lead follow-up, appointments, negotiating. And now I change a little bit from plan to plans. The S is social media. I think the person I want to be, Cam, I think he'll agree social media is kind of important, right, Cam? But when we delegate, we give ourselves a lot more time to do our real job. What is our real job? It's to do the 5 or 4 income producing activities each and every day, right? And then we, like it or not, gang, we're in a skills-based business now, more so than ever. With the NAR now, it's that whole negotiating class. If I gave that $1,000 course to everybody. I don't know how many of you finished it, but it is freaking amazing, right? And the people that know how to negotiate are going to win. I think it's the number one thing that we all need to work on, right? And why? Pete and Mitch and Brian, we've been around. Gary, you've been around a while, right? The number one thing we used to negotiate is listings and a commission rate. Now we gotta negotiate with buyers just to get them in the door. We got to negotiate with, we write an offer, and then of course we want to get our the full amount of money that we believe that we're working or what we work for, right? So we have to learn and we have to get better. And I tell everybody on my team, 2 ways to get better. You can talk to way more people, or you can get better at talking to your people. The better you get at talking to your people, your conversion rate goes way up. And then I had a thing that I wasn't going to bring up, but because so many people in different markets are saying that, talking about listings, one of the things I did back then is in 2010, I taught and coached everybody to fire 10% or 20% of their sellers if they weren't priced right, if they weren't motivated, and so on. And that goes around with what Mitch said, price the properties. But you have to, wherever you're at, if Ross or Pete or Matt, somebody in California, we're going to have a different approach, or me in Park City, Utah, to listing a property. I think listing properties right now is key, but in my market, it's listing them at the right price. Okay. And then the other thing is we need to work with more buyers, but we need to get rid of the poor quality buyers. We need to ask the hard questions. We need to find out what they're really looking for and what they're doing. And then the last thing, or one of the last things I wrote down, is don't take listings for 3 months anymore. Take them for 6 months, 9 months, even 12 months. And especially if you're listing a property that is at market or above, then you need to take a longer listing. And then, frankly, like it or not, you're going to have to work twice as hard to make the same amount of money. But write this down: for a little while. If we work a lot harder to make the same amount of money, this changes and it turns around, we're going to win. So, Nick, the last thing I wrote before I'm going to tell a short thing about Zillow, we must become fanatical at our lead follow-up. We need to call our people. We need to call our past clients and all that. And you need to get people. I have a coaching session called Yes, No, and Maybe. And basically, yes, no, and maybe means, Pete, do you want to list with me? What's the answer I want? Yes. What's the second answer I want? Most people say maybe, and I say I want no, right? Because maybe leads don't pay definite bills, right? So if Pete says maybe, then I want to ask more questions and more questions and more questions until I can put you, Pete, in a bucket of yes, I want to list with you, or no, I don't. If you have too many maybe leads in your database, then you don't know how to follow up, and that makes it really hard. And then coming back, it's mindset. If we think we can or think we can't, we're right. Earl Nightingale, my favorite one, is we become what we think about most of the time. And so that's kind of the notes. That was a 2 to 3 hour course, and I told that in 6 or 7 minutes. But here's the last thing I want you to know. I just got back from the Zillow conference, and I am so jazzed and pumped up because I can predict the future. Ross can predict the future, right? If you work with Zillow, you can predict the future. What does that mean? I mean, we know if the amount of people that are looking for real estate goes up, then we know there's going to be more sellers. Yes or yes. More buyers or more sales, right? And they're already seeing it. And believe it or not, even in down markets, Zillow pretty much across the board is starting to look and see at more buyers. Why? Because when people start hearing, oh, interest rates are going down, then, oh, wow, maybe I should be looking at houses, right? If you're in Florida, is it a good time to buy or sell? It's a way better time to buy, right? And then the last thing is Barry Habib, the event that we did, unbelievable. The best event I've ever been to. And he said, and I hope I don't have it in front of me, but I think he said, for every 1% of interest rate deduction, for every 0.5% of interest rate reduction, 500,000 more buyers are able to buy. They now qualify. Now, that doesn't mean 500,000 people are all going to go out and buy, but they're going to now be qualified. So anyway, that's what I had. Thanks.
Love that. I'm going to go over to the other person who was at that conference, Ross the Boss Stout, out there in the desert. You know, he's like a desert animal, I like to call him, because he's making all types of things happen in the desert. Ross, so expand on what, I mean, Dave always gives great insight. I know that was a huge conference with Zillow. What did you get out of the conference, and how did it motivate you in this market right now?
Well, hey, everybody. And Dave, nice segue, man. Thanks. Massive opportunity is what I pulled from it. And that's what I'm shooting for. So it's kind of, you teed me up, because everything that I was wanting to talk about on what to do in a down market is building. I'll go high level, and then I'll go kind of like, if you're a newer agent, how to navigate a down market. But I think Brian did a really good job of kind of giving you the agent perspective on how to sell in a market like this. But why this is nothing new. We've been in a down market, in my opinion, for 2.5 years. June of 2022, I feel like we hit an absolute brick wall. I was on my way to having, I think I'd already personally sold and I wasn't even really trying to sell 30 million myself by June of 2022. I was like, dang, I'm going to smash this year. This will be my best year. And I sold one more house for the rest of the year. So it was an absolute brick wall, and I feel like we've been in a frozen market for a while. So I set out on a quest to find out how to make the world a little smaller, how to make the world reachable. I was at a boutique brokerage, and I was stuck in a singular market doing the same thing over and over again, and income was declining. Transactions obviously had stopped. So how do you make money? How do you make moves in that kind of market? So I started interviewing other brokerages, asking them, how can you make the world smaller for me? And then I had somebody call me 42 times, finally took an appointment in a hotel bar, and Diane showed me the vision of what I could be doing here. And the whole reasoning after I learned what EXP was offering was, I will never have to sit in my office and twiddle my thumbs again. If I see somebody that I'm working with, an agent that I'm working with, twiddling their thumbs, they are not utilizing this massive platform we have for growth in any kind of market. So when it's time to build, if you're a team leader, I'll speak to you for a minute. What are you doing to enhance your offering? What are you doing to attract people to come and work with you? Because what I found is, in this market, transactions were low, so I needed to do a volume play. So just me personally, I saw the vision of leveraging Zillow Flex, which is that conference that I was just at. And now I've reached all the way from San Isidro, the border of San Diego and Mexico. And now I'm all the way up to Redding and Chico. So I'm calling it the California takeover. And I'm going for giving agents a massive platform to get hot buyer leads, sell more properties, but make them a well-rounded agent. So they're not just chasing leads. We're going to talk about how to get listings. We're going to talk about how to do real estate well as a whole. We're going to be good on both sides of the ball. So when I left that conference, that was what I was super jazzed up about, was the ability to take processes and the basics of real estate, deliver that tied up with a bow to a massive amount of people who are agents that are hungry, who are wanting to see the vision. And that has been, for this past year, my biggest joy. And so that's what I've been doing in this slow market, is building, enhancing my offering to not only agents, but my buyers and sellers. And part of the advice, aside from all the structure and actions that we've given our team members, is if you, in this time, you get to redefine yourself, if you get to define yourself, period. If you are an agent in this market, perception is what you put out there. How do you want to be perceived? If you want to become Dave Luxury Lawson, what do? You got to put your body in a luxury listing looking like you're a luxury agent and speaking the language. So you got to study. You have to understand how to speak to a high net worth person. Find your niche and how to communicate with them, and then put your body in a house that's worth 3 million plus and talk to these people. And if you continually do that, you continually put your body in the place where you want to be, the perception that you're wanting to create for yourself, you will become that person for these people, and it will change your business. If you don't have listings in the place you want to be, go find someone to attach yourself to and create that avenue for yourself. You got to be hungry. You got to go get it. If you are waiting for your phone to ring right now, you'll be like Mitch and get 3 calls, and you'll be wondering why. You know, Mitch is not the greatest example because he's killing it, but if you are waiting for your phone to ring today, it's not going to happen. You need to go out and make it ring, and you need to attract the people that you want to be in your sphere. So that's kind of the most basic thing I can get you, but perception also bleeds into social media, and that's something that I'm really weak at. But if you are a singular agent and you are focusing on yourself, you should be showing everyone who you want them to see. And I'm not saying lie about yourself. I'm saying become that agent, make your persona, like Pete's saying, I'm going to be in a suit because I'm freaking winning this listing today. Put yourself on public display as you want to be seen, and it will happen. So that's, and it may not happen overnight. Real estate's a grind. I'm not promising you're going to make $1 million tomorrow, but you do this thing, you surround yourself with the right amount of people, and you compound your impact. Like Mitch said, you know, that one person you met at the open house, that should be at least four $3 million buyers, not just the one. You got to give them excellent service. You may not sell that person a house, but you're going to sell their friend a house. You got to have that mentality. So that's, I could, like you guys say, we can all talk about this for hours. It's my passion. I love it. And thanks for listening to me.
I love that. It's great because you can feel how authentic Ross the Boss Stout is and how committed he is. You know, you have to be authentic, you have to be committed, and you have to know how to communicate the right message. I love that he said that. So if you're sitting there right now saying, hey, how do I get more business going? It's a hard market. It's a tough market. First, you got to shift your mindset. Second of all, pull out this thing that Steve Jobs made. It's called a phone. I know you probably have a phone, right? And sit there and put it on video and talk into it and show people who you are, but be dressed up, be in character, you know, move around, go to different listings and say to the listing agent, hey, do you mind if I bring a buyer for your listing? In order for me to do that, I got to film it a little bit, but I'll give you credit. Guess what, guys? On social media, I call it the land of fantasy. It's fantasy land, right? You can be anything you want to be. You could film $20 million listings. Everybody will congratulate you on the listing because they don't know the difference between a for sale sign, a lease sign, a sold sign, anything. All they know and the way their brain processes is, oh, Matt Battiata got a $20 million listing, or Gary Massa owns a tortilla chip company. They don't know the difference, right? That's the big thing. So let's move over to Massa. I'm going to get a $3.5 million listing right now. Next week, I'll give you guys the update. You can all sell it. It's going to be out in Temecula. And if you sell the house, I get you a case of wine. That's what I throw in. Don't take my mojo. I throw things in, right? Everybody gets a bonus. Everybody's a winner. So Gary, lead us home. You and Matt, tell people right now, how can they instantaneously get business today? If they have no business, what are you doing to create business? Because listen, guys, either you're going to get business going or you're not going to have any business. That's it. It's plain and simple. Good luck. Let's make it happen.
All right, so I'll make it quick. I got to jump in 4 minutes to a listing appointment as well. But the one thing that I'll share to start, quick story, and something that I heard from Darren Hardy was, you know, the analogy of the pumping the well. So when times get slow or a little bit tough in the real estate roller coaster, you know, imagine pumping the well, right? And to get the water to the top of the well, you've got to pump really freaking hard just to get the water all the way out, right? And so what happens is when we get busy, we let go of the pump because we're too busy doing a lot of other things, right? And so what happens is to get that water flowing again, you got to pump the well really hard. So right now, as things are, you know, maybe slowing down. Now, again, San Diego numbers, you know, we've got more inventory. just a little bit of dip in the number of closed sales or kind of like transactions going in, but our pricing is still going up. But yet our list of sales price is actually coming down. So pricing is important, but the getting in action part is really important. I think we've all kind of hit the nail on the head with that on a lot of different activities. But the point is that you have to essentially 10x it. You've got to do 10 times more than you would normally do because there's just not that many, not that many people in the market right now. Whether, you can make a lot of different excuses out there right now, but there are still people in there, but you just have to work 10 times harder and put your nose to the grindstone. And not all of us want to hear that, but it's just the truth. I think Dave said you have to talk to either more people or talk better with them or have better conversations. But I mean, again, it's just more actions, more activities. So the one thing that I'll leave you with that I am doing right now is sending end of the year equity reports to all of my past clients, right? I think we've set up 80 already. I've sent out 35. By the end of next week, we'll probably have sent out over 100, CMAs. So again, I am having help with my operations manager to kind of set these up for me. I'm going in and tweaking it to make sure that they're dialed in and accurate, and then emailing those off to the client. We've set up the templates. So again, we're kind of just production line doing this. I'm also following up with all of them with a video text message like, hey, just want to make sure that you received it. And by the way, we have a client appreciation event coming up in November. There's 2 different opportunities or 3 different opportunities to touch over 100, past clients. And in those, in those touches, they're seeing value. They're seeing my face and remembering that I exist, if I haven't spoken with them in a long time or not, and B, getting the opportunity to get in front of them to talk about real estate, to talk about possible referrals, and at least just getting into action, right? And so it's just starting to generate a lot more conversations that I would not be having. And you just start to feel the momentum, which increases your energy, which increases your confidence levels and everything else, which leads to more activity. So it's about generating that tidal wave and pumping the well. That's all I'll leave you with. I hope that helps.
That's great. Thanks, Gary. We're going to run real quickly because we only have a few more minutes left. We want to get a few minutes for Matt and a few minutes for Bobby. So, Matt, go ahead and take it over, buddy.
Boy, gosh, everybody had so many good comments and good suggestions. One thing I don't know if anyone mentioned, but it's we haven't had, at least in our market, we really haven't had expireds and for sale by owners for a long time, and now we have them again, and that's a really good source of business. When I first got in the business, I got 100% of my listings by calling expireds and for sale by owners every morning. So that's a really good source. That's something that I'm starting to focus on. The other thing I think that's important is keeping your marketing, any sort of marketing that you're doing, keeping it consistent, because it's almost, we're in the middle of October. People may not be deciding to put their homes on the market right this minute, but they're going to, in the next few months. And the marketing that you're doing now will pay dividends, once people decide to that it's time for them to sell. So, but also I think for sure also reaching out to past clients is huge. So I think what Gary said, it's a great idea sending out equity reports, Gary. I think that's awesome. I'm going to do that as well. So that would be my few things. But yeah, I think expireds and canceleds and FSBOs are a good source right now, because there's a lot of them.
Yep. All right, Bobby, let's go ahead, Bobby.
Turn over to Bobby there if he's still there.
Yep. You're on mute, Bobby.
Okay, there we go. All right, so I just put a link for tomorrow. If any of you guys are in the Anaheim markets, if you want to send agents on your team, we're going to be doing a full day event. It's going to be tons of content, really good agents on the panels and part of this. So I just wanted to do that quick pitch. And then I've got my notes here, what to do in a slowing market. First off, nothing's more important than lead gen, lead follow-up. Every single day, you should be looking at your hottest leads, going after those people, and just staying in touch with them and being proactive, especially the buyers. Don't just put them on a little tickler. Every single day, you should be looking and seeing if there's anything new, and let them know what you are doing for them. I think that's one of the things that buyers agents fail to do is they don't show buyers what they're actually doing. So if you're door knocking a neighborhood, do a quick video, say, hey, I'm door knocking this neighborhood looking for listings in the neighborhood that you love. So, those kinds of things will make your buyers really appreciate and understand the value that you're bringing. And when you ask for that 3% commission, they're gonna want you to get it. So that is number one. Mindset. Is it really slow? I see deals closing every day. I'm actually busier than I've been in a long time right now because I have kind of flipped the script. In the past, I was giving out all the leads and expecting all the agents to do the work, get them in here, sign them to a buyer broker agreement, get a listing signed. But you know what? We have to flip the script as team leaders now. We have to be the face of the operation at all times, getting out there. And if one of your team members gets a hot one, they should be adding you to it. You should be calling them, sending a video. You got to help them convert more than ever. Because as many of you have said, we have to close at a much higher rate, or you got to be freaking a beast on the phone and a beast at converting. I think the biggest thing you could be doing right now is getting buyer broker agreement signed, because if you're not doing it, someone else is doing it. So you should be calling every single person, getting that signed, because if they walk into a listing into an open house, the listing agent's going to say, hey, I'll do it for 1%. When they call you and say, I'll do it for 2 or 2.5, you're not going to get it. The listing agent's going to get it. So get them signed to a buyer broker agreement. I think you're going to have a lot of people just walking into open houses and finding properties casually looking because they don't want to sign that buyer broker agreement necessarily. So lining up listings for the first half, that's something that we're doing. Obviously, Gary, you got a great system, so that everyone should be doing what Gary is doing. Strengthen relations, get in front of people. This is the time of year to do it. Role play all the major conversations. Team leaders, if you haven't role played with your agents recently, I would highly, highly recommend doing it, because it might surprise what you're hearing, and then you won't be surprised why they don't have any deals in escrow. There's a lot of agents that don't know how to have the conversation, especially the tough ones on commission. So door knock around the just solds in the farm that you want to own. That's a great way to get listings for the first half. And then, of course, open houses. Buyers are walking into these properties, and some of them have agents. Some of them might want to buy that property. That's it. Have a great one.
That was perfect. All right, it's a great way to end it. And by the way, I didn't mention that, but open houses is always gold. Do them correctly and do them often. Thanks everybody for coming on today. We'll see you guys next week. Have a wicked awesome week.
See you guys.
Have a good one.
Cheers.